On Thursday, the administration was openly promising a massive attack against Iran. By Friday, the 13-day American bombing campaign simply stopped. There was no explanation, no victory lap, just an abrupt, heavy silence. The trigger for this escalation was a basic misreading of a newly signed 60-day ceasefire agreement. The United States believed it secured completely toll-free passage for ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran interpreted the text differently, nominally dropping official calls but immediately rolling out mandatory quote-unquote service fees. When the U.S. directed ships to hug the Omani coastline to avoid paying these new fees, the semantic argument turned kinetic. Commercial vessels navigating this alternate route were hit by Iranian forces. The U.S. responded by reimposing a naval blockade and quickly escalated from coastal skirmishes to dropping ordnance on infrastructure targets deep inside southern Iran. Tehran answered by expanding its own targeting envelope across the Gulf, hitting American military assets in Iraq, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. 4 U.S. service members were killed, and dozens more were injured. So, after sustaining actual casualties and ramping up the pressure for 2 straight weeks, why did the most well-funded military on Earth suddenly halt its campaign? This pause was not a strategic choice. The administration hit a wall, or rather 3 distinct walls, that stripped away their ability to sustain a kinetic war. The American offensive broke down because it outran its own logistics and target list, beginning with what we can call the tactical wall. According to reports, the top U.S. military commander in the Middle East, Admiral Brad Cooper, bluntly informed the administration that the bombing campaign had reached the limit of its effectiveness. The military had simply run out of designated viable targets to strike inside Iran. Even if they had targets left to hit, the offensive crashed into the logistical wall. The U.S. was burning through the specific types of ammunition required to safely continue operations. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff privately cautioned the administration that American stockpiles of air defense interceptors and long-range munitions were running dangerously low. Evidence is in recent emergency orders for PAC-2 interceptors. Pulling this older, less effective 30-year-old hardware into service shows how thin active stockpiles became. With no high-value targets left and not enough advanced missiles, the military option neutralized itself. The third barrier was the economic wall. Rather than trying to match American firepower missile for missile, Iran leveraged its geography to wage asymmetric warfare. Looking at this map of key Middle Eastern shipping lanes, you can see how Iran and its regional proxies coordinated to choke off multiple maritime checkpoints simultaneously, extending their reach far beyond the Strait of Hormuz. Houthi forces effectively blocked the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a crucial bottleneck between Yemen and Djibouti. This trapped Saudi oil exports that had been specially rerouted to avoid the fighting in Hormuz. This chart tracking global oil prices shows the immediate macroeconomic fallout. Because global inventories were already precariously low, this coordinated blockade sent the price of crude surging well past $100 a barrel. That energy shock bled straight into domestic financial markets. War-related uncertainty triggered an immediate sell-off on Wall Street, knocking the S&P 500 down 2% and plunging the Nasdaq by 5%. Higher global oil prices dictate higher gas prices for American voters. Combined with a bleeding stock market, this created a severe domestic political liability for the administration, completely overshadowing whatever they hope to achieve in the Gulf. By strangling global trade and forcing prices up, Tehran inflicted an economic cost that the administration simply couldn't tolerate. Cornered by exhausted targets, empty munitions depots, and spiraling economic damage, the administration quietly abandoned the military option and scrambled back to the negotiating table. According to multiple reports, back-channel talks between the U.S. and Iran have officially restarted here in Oman, aimed at resolving the exact shipping fee dispute that originally triggered the violence. After 13 days of airstrikes and the loss of American lives, the United States secured 0 concessions from Tehran regarding the toll-free passage of commercial vessels. The administration launched a military offensive it didn't have the resources or the political capital to sustain. In doing so, it accidentally showed its adversaries exactly where American endurance maxes out. Iran absorbed the strikes, imposed its own costs on the global market, and watched the U.S. blink first. They now have empirical proof that they can outlast an American kinetic campaign. The administration tried to bomb its way into a stronger negotiating position. Instead, they handed Tehran the confidence to demand even harsher, more uncompromising terms moving forward.